we're doing today is about balloons, and I just want to kind of go through how I got started doing it and why the video. I had done balloons for people that were shut-ins and whatnot before, and I was watching TV, and these kids sent these cards to the people that were shut in, and I thought, I really need to do that. And then I got to thinking, well, why don't I just do a video and then you can just watch it? And then, and so, when I got started, I have no idea. All I know is that the good Lord gave me a gift to work with kids, and kids like balloons. And when I first started, I had balloons in my pocket all the time, and I would make balloons for parents at a park or something like that. And then one day, I did it for a little boy, and then the guy asked me if I would be willing to do a kids event that he had going on. And I said, sure, why not? And so I did that, and after that, a lady came up and asked me if I would do balloons for pay, and I said, sure, why not? So the best I can tell you is I've been doing balloon sculpturing for kids for 14 years with pay. I have no idea, because I know I started and I stopped a couple of times. Okay, now the first thing I want to show you is the dog. The dog was the first one I learned how to do. Simple, easy, and one of the things you remember, it's what the person sees. If it looks like a dog to the child, it's a dog. It doesn't really matter how many of them you make. They're going to be different, but it's still going to be a dog. Once I learned the dog, then different things came up that I could do also. Well, you take the cat, is actually the dog, but smaller ears. Same legs, but a longer tail. Then you put a tail on, put it, and you tell the kids that the reason the tail is curved is because it's so happy. Now the same thing you can do as a giraffe. The giraffe is just like the cat, except it's got a long neck, and it doesn't have the curl in the tail. But that's all you can. So once you know the dog, you can do a lot of different things from that. Now, the one I kind of like to do, being a city employee, is a snail. It's not all that hard to make. But I tell people that the snail, and I hand them the snail and I'll ask them, so is this the speed of a retired person? Or maybe I'll just say, because I work for the city, I'll say, well, is this the speed of a government employee? And I usually get a laugh or two out of that. And you can always make mistakes. Most people that do balloons actually balloons come in different sizes. There's 160s, 260s, and 160s. I'm using the 160s, and so different things are a little different than when I used to use the 260s. I went to the 160s because I was wondering, because my 260s seemed to be popping a lot. So I went to the 160s to see if that would be less. It ended up being about the same, but I found that the 160s were smaller, which is about an inch around, and the kids were able to handle it a lot better. Now the next one is a snake. Now the snake, I started out just twisting by hand. Instead, again, I just roll it up like this, kind of. And then I like, oh, swallow, what a wild snake, and hand it to him. And since then, I have learned that if you blow them up and then let the air out and redo it again, and then wrap it around something, you can get a better squirrel. So I blow them up like this, and the kids really go berserk when they find out, when they see me let the air out, because they say, oh no, the air's out, and I have to try and tell them, no, it's okay, I did that on purpose, there's a reason for that. And then I wrap it around. I always carry an extra pump with me, just in case one goes bad. I usually use the... We'll try it again. As in anything, things can go wrong. So we'll try it again. When I'm at a carnival or something, I have a book that the kids look at, so that when they get to me, they can pick out the balloons and then tell me what they want. So if I do it the other way, I get something that looks more like a snake. I always make sure that the kids know that they need to ask mom and dad if it's okay, if they bring a snake into the house. I also ask girls, if I think a girl wants a snake, I'll say, are you sure you want a snake? And they'll give me this funny look, and then I'll say, well, last I knew, girls didn't like snakes or spiders or anything like that. And they'll say, well, I like snakes. I said, okay, just don't let this one bite you, because I don't have the stuff to to fix the poison, the antidote for the poison. And now, the diamond bracelet, I'm not sure where that came from. I really am not. I put it in there, and I figured there were some little girls that might want to be elegant or whatnot. So I just, it's very simple. So I just, twist a few. Now what I do, usually mom and dad are with the kids, and I tell dad, now be sure and get this diamond bracelet appraised, because you want to make sure that you get the right insurance policy on it. And if you get it appraised, you'll know how much it's worth, and because you can borrow money against any asset that you have. So this would be an asset that you could borrow money on. And then I put it on their wrist. Now the next one is the balloon rocket. Now I get a lot of people, they laugh, kids that laugh at me, ha ha ha, balloon rocket. All it is just a balloon. In the right, it is just a balloon. It's a straight balloon. And when they do that, I say, well, here, I'll show you, because I'm not lying. We want to make the rocket straight. And then you take your finger and stick it in this end and point it, and it takes off. So that, that makes it a balloon rocket. Also in the book, I have what is called a parrot on a perch. Again, I'm not sure why I picked that one. Something out of the book. Most of what I have has been out of the book that I've seen. There are some stuff that I have. So far, all the stuff that I've done is I got it from a book. there's the parrot on the perch. The next one is a flower on a stem, and I did this one already, but it's just kind of like what the dog is. You twist it here, then you twist it here, and you have the two stems, or two petals. And it took me a while to figure out how to do the flower part of the sculpture. Because part of the problem was you got to tie it together, but you don't want the knot to be shown either. So you had to make sure that when you put it together, that the knot is hidden. And then you go like this. Now, I can do a bigger one like this. I just put on a different one. And I had done that one time, and I told the boys that you take this supersized flower, go to their mother, and says, here's mom, this is a supersized flower for super mom. And they left and quit bothering me, and they came back and they just weren't, I thought they'd be happy. I said, well, what did your mom say about it? And they said, well, she took it and said, oh, okay. And I said, okay, so I started doing other balloons for kids, and I got thinking, I said, hey, what did you tell your mother? And they said, well, we told them just like you said. We told her it was a supersized flower for a supersized mom. And I said, boys, think that one through. And they said, oh, yeah. I said, that may not have been a very smart thing for you to tell your mother. I said, now we know why she wasn't happy. The next one we got is the guitar. Now the guitar is something I made up on my own. Back, I was working on what we called the alternative service at church, and we had a band that played on their own. That was live band for the service. And this one gentleman that played the guitar was working construction, and he had smacked his fingers with a hammer. So he's having a hard time playing the guitar. And so as a joke, I made this guitar for him and said, here, why don't you play this one for a while so that you don't, it shouldn't hurt you near as much. And so this would be my version of the air guitar. And you flip it over, one side's a bass guitar, the other side is a regular guitar, and every band, because I always ask the kids, so are you going to start a rock and roll band? And they'll say, yeah. And I said, so do your mom and dad know you're going to start a rock and roll band? And usually the mom and dad says, no, but we'll be prepared for it. And if their mom and dad are there every now and then, if I get joking around, I'll tell them, well, you need a singer for your band, and every singer needs a microphone. So I make a cordless mic for the father or the mother or whoever it is for that, okay? Now, the heart with flowers, I thought it was pretty unique. This one I believe I figured out myself. Can't remember if it was something, it almost seemed like it was for Valentine's Day. Could have been the fact that I was in trouble with the wife and needed to bail myself out. I can't remember if it worked or not, but sometimes you need an alternative plan to what you're doing. So I get the heart, and then the flowers are I learned how to make the flowers from making apples, because they're made the same way. Now these are too small, so I cheat, and I've got a little something, because I got to push this all the way down into the flower, push it back up, and see, then I have a flower. So there's my heart with flowers. Now the braided stick has a story of its own. When I first started, I had maybe one or two balloon sculptures that were one or two balloons. And this young man comes over to me and says, make me something out of 3 balloons. And I said, well, I don't have anything. And he said, I don't care what you make it out of 3 balloons. And I said, I have no idea what to make you. And he said, I don't care. And so I said, okay, stand beside me and I will think about it. I'll come up with something. And I was thinking about it, and I said, oh, I know. My mom had showed me how to braid 3 balloons together, not balloons, 3 twine string together to make a rope. And so I said, I know, I'll make him that braid. And he'll take it to his friends, and his friends will make fun of him for having a braid because you always associate braids with girl's hair. And I said, well, that'll be it. And it wasn't long that all the girls were coming over and asking for the braided stick that the boy had done. So that one kind of backfired on me a little bit, but a lot of the kids like what I call the braided stick. I do get kids that ask me for the breaded stick. I tell them, no, it's braid. Now I have to admit, somebody did spell it wrong in his book the first time around, and he did that. My next one was an octopus. I figured this one out myself. It's basically, it's a hat. No, it's not a hat. I got ahead of myself. An octopus was just something that I could do quick, and I like to do all of my balloons are quick, easy. The reason I do that is because I know the parents are only going to stand so long in line. And so I make them quick and easy. I have a book, so when they get up to me, they know how many balloons it takes and and they can pick out their own colors. This is the way I usually work it out, hair or whatnot. I have a different setup that I use there. Now, I have some kids that are really confused because I only have them pick out 4 balloons for the octopus. And everybody knows that the octopus has 8 legs. And they just can't comprehend how I'm going to get 8 legs out of 4 balloons. So we do a little math. I say, so how do you think I do it? How in the world would I get 4 legs out of 8 legs, out of 4 balloons? And some of them will figure it out. Well, you divide it in half. Yeah, that's exactly what I do. And I'll get about this far, and the kids will say, well, there's no head on it. There's no head. It needs a head. I say, yes, you're right. It does. So we'll just do something like this. And there we have an octopus with the head on it. And some call it a rainbow octopus or whatever. And I had a friend, a little boy. I had one of these that laid on the church pew. And he told his mom, hey, look, Mom, an octosword, an octosword. He could be right. One of the next pictures I have is a sword and belt. Now, I started out making the sword, and when kids get a sword, they do sword fights, and usually it's quite annoying and upsetting to the adults. So I just kind of took it off the book, didn't tell anybody that I made the sword. Well, kids being kids would always ask if I made swords, and me being me wouldn't lie, so I would say yes. And it just got to the point to where I just put it in the book, because once I made a sword and belt, then everybody else wanted one. So I put it back in the book. Not very many people, of those sculptors, do the belt part of it. When I make a loop, a lot of the kids kids think I'm making another sword. Then I take it around the body, and I twist it like this, and then they have a belt and sword on there. Now the twisted crown, I came up with one of the ones that I did by myself. I had a young lady, I believe, came up and said, "Can you twist these two together?" And I was kind of, I'm not sure about that. I says, I'll have to think just a little bit. And I thought a little bit, and I said, you know, when I was helping Dad put up electric fence, we always twisted wire together. So let me think how we did that. Now, it's kind of, it sounds easy, but a person's got to be careful, because if you don't do it just right, you end up with not a twisted stick, but you end up with a wraparound stick, where one balloon is just literally wrapped around the other stick. So you gotta, there's an act to getting it all kind of so it looks twisted. Then I had one gal later ask me if I could make it a hat. So I twisted it, put it around her head, and like this. I usually put it on and say, "Oh look, a princess!" And they are very happy about that. Now if they want to be just kind of want to be a queen, then they'll get a crown. The crown is simple. I tie the ends in the back, put it around their head, and then I twist this for the sides and bring it up, and that's the jewel of the crown, and I put it on there and say the queen. And then I ask the people around, you do realize by her getting a crown makes her the king or the queen of the house, and most of them will say, and what's new about that? You know, so I say, okay, so you're used to that. The next one is the helmet. Now the helmet is started out kind of simple. I'll measure the head. I still do it for the real little kids. And do this, and then bring the top over and do that. And then I can grab another balloon to dress it up a little bit. Yeah. And if you don't hang on to it, they take off on you. I'd be doing pretty fortunate. Usually by now I've got one or two balloons that broke on their own. People say, do balloons ever break? And I say, well, look at the ground here. There's balloons all over the place. Usually, the hotter the day, the more balloons will break. I have found that the kids hang on to them and kind of makes them warm enough to where they'll break even more. So, but I usually carry 100, 200 of some kind of balloons. Now, the last one, I made a helmet a little different than this one. And the young man came to me and said, "Hey, look, it's a mask." And I couldn't believe it. I said, "Well, yes, it is." So I'll show you how. And the mask is actually quite, somewhat simple. I measure the head, go like that, and then you get the second balloon. This goes over real good if they get a belt. One of the rules that I have is is that I only will pump up or sculpture 4 balloons at a time. So that, because if I don't do that, then they're just there forever. You know, somebody will get 10, 15 balloons. So, if I put the hat on like this, it's a helmet. But if I put it on like this, it's a mask. I have done a full armor, a spear and a vest and everything. But I didn't have very many kids. And so we just did a lot of playing around. The next one is a feather on a hat. Now, the feather on a hat, I kind of created. I always ask the kids, okay, so you got a feather on a hat, does that mean you're a wild Indian? And most of the time, the parents are behind them shaking their head, yep, they are. One time I had a young lady asked for a feather on a hat, and so I asked her, I said, so, you want a feather on a hat because you're a wild Indian? And she says, could be, I'm 100% Cherokee. And I thought for a minute there I was going to be a part of a war party or something. I said, oh, I may have asked the wrong question to the wrong person. But she saw humor in it, and I still have just left my skeleton in place. There we go. Feather on a hat. Now the bee takes a special balloon. The bee, it's called a bee body when I ordered it. So you just blow it all the way up. Get one more balloon to make the wings. Sometimes I will take this bee, put it on a flower, and give it to a person, and tell them that since they were such a sweet person, we put a bee on the flower. That usually perks them up a little bit. Now, out of the same thing, you can make an apple. It would be yellow apple, which is kind of, I get by, they sell these in yellow and red and white. They used to sell them in orange and pink, but no green. I could never figure out why we never had a green apple. Another thing that I made out of them, and sticking with the fruit theme, is just kind of do it like you do a bee body. Blow it up. Well, that's good. And you got a banana. Now, I used to make banana phones. I would draw on here with a Sharpie so it looked like a phone. And I did that until one fall night, and it was kind of humid out. This little girl got a phone, put it to her face like this, and folded away, and everything I drew on the here was on her face. I said, no more. I figured my insurance policy was going to pay out something on that, and come to find out, the mother got the diaper wipes out, took care of it, and all done. So I don't put them on there, but hello, yes. And then I'd hand it to him and says, look, I can't get you unlimited calling, but you have a gazillion minutes. And I'll get the crazy funny look like I so deserve on that one. This next one is a crazy hat. Now, I'll ask the same thing here. I said, you want a crazy hat because you feel a little on the crazy side? And they usually say, yeah, that'll happen. Now, I did this one the first time, I don't know why, I don't know if the kids conned me into it or what, but what happens is you make the hat the size of the child, or the person, and then you put loops over the top of it, and then you tie antennas to it, which I'll get to in a bit here. But anyway, I'm doing this at a benefit, and these boys kept coming down for more antennas on the hat. And I was sitting by a speaker listening to the auctioneer sell things upstairs. And one time I heard him say, no, 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 that was not a bid. That was that hat over there, that balloon hat, waving in amongst the crowds. And it did that. They stopped 2-3 times that way. But that was the night I found out that 27 balloons was actually too much, because the hat kind of laid off at the side. So we limited to 16 balloons on the crazy hat. And I only do 4 at a time, so they have to go through the line several times to get it. Some do, some don't. But usually, if they have a crazy hat on, somebody somewhere along the line is taking a picture of them on it. I've also had it to where I've had to put chin straps on them because the wind was blowing so bad it would blow the hat off. It's great. You put a balloon hat on like that, you can actually feel the wind vibrating the balloons. It's really a strange feeling. So this is what an antenna would look like. You just take it and put it on, and I would put 4 up here, 4 here, just go totally crazy with that one. Now the butterfly, a lot of the kids like. I make 2 kinds of butterflies, a really big one and then a smaller one. I'll show you the bigger one takes 3 balloons, and that's what it says in the book. And you'd be surprised, I'll say, well, I can do it with 2, and the kids will say, no, the book says 3. So I said, okay, we'll do 3. Hello? It's actually quite easy. Now, I do a benefit in Waterloo that is released for life. And they release over 1,000 butterflies at one time. That's really cool. And they have a lot of stuff for kids to do there. I enjoy it. That's one thing. People ask me about if I get tired of doing balloons, and I said, well, not really, because doing balloons is actually a hobby of mine. And I'm very fortunate that my hobby actually ends up paying me something too. Not everybody gets that option. I have found when I do the butterfly like this, that if I just put the wings on and form it and hand it to me, they give me kind of a funny look. Like, okay, so, but if I do it like this, get it all formed, and go like this, then that changes the whole perception. And the other one with 2 is just kind of like the flower. Oh well. It's only time, right? See, I always tie it together, but I don't know if you noticed or not how some of the balloon sculptures just kind of all mimic different things, you know. So I do teach a class at Hawkeye Tech at least once a year, And I try and tell them that it's, you know, as long as you believe what it is, that's what it is. I make this balloon, smaller balloon for usually the smaller kids. But I can't read in the book to know that the butterfly is supposed to have 3 balloons instead of 2. And it goes over a little better with mom and dad because they are usually the ones that end up carrying the balloons. I've had kids come so many times that I've asked the parents, so is there any room in the car, or are you just going to put the balloons in the car and tie the kids on the hood like you would a deer? Then I tell them, no, I didn't tell you to tie the kids on the hood. So here's what the other butterfly would look like. Now, the next one is my apple. I like if I hear somebody say they're a teacher, I like giving to them. I also like asking the kids, so are you getting an apple because your grades aren't, really all that good? I mean, are you hoping that this apple will kind of bring them grades up? And they'll say, no, and that's why I figured, we weren't that kind of person. Or I'll give some parents that says that they're a teacher. And I said, or the kids will get an apple, say, look, Mom, I got something healthy. Now let's go get ice cream. And then I made the basic fish. And then I figured out that fish just really doesn't seem right unless you have a fishing pole. And then you definitely need fishing line, which you don't blow up. And then you need a reel, and which we'll make out of this here. Now you twist the reel a little like this, and a little like that. And you take this and tie it on the end. And then you tie this on this end. Whoops. Tie it on this end. And then I'll go, whoa, this is way too big for me. Here, you take it. And I have one more to show you. I don't know if we didn't have a picture for it, but I like to make a rabbit. And I always like it when somebody comes up and asks for a blue rabbit. So I'll blow the rabbit up. And I'll say, so are you thinking about ice cream? And, well, what do you know? I just asked for a rabbit. And I said, well, way it looks to me, you have a blue bunny. And they said, so we got a blue bunny. Or if I want to really, I said, so are you going to save this for when you get old? Because if you have this and you go bald, you'll still have a hair. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. Get better. Have a good time. See you later.